By fans, for fans, the Hog Style. And now, here's your host, Sean Conti.
Welcome back to the Hog Style, ladies and gentlemen. Your number one podcast through all 16 weeks of the regular season, no matter how ruinous things become. Brought to you, of course, by our friends at BigHeadsMedia.com. My name's Sean Conti. Alex Zeese, Jamal Forrest, and Steve Thomas are all here on the mics today. The Redskins have dropped one at home against the hapless Jets, proving once again how much of a folly the concept of a winnable game really is for this team. We're going to get into it right after this identification from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Support for the Hog Style comes from Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-belt grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Ready or not, the holidays are here. Still struggling to come up with the perfect gift for that special someone in your life? The answer is Manscaped. The Manscaped Perfect Package 2.0 is the perfect gift this holiday season. It includes the Lawnmower 2.0 trimmer, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing deodorant, and the Crop Reviver toner spray, which is infused with cooling aloe vera to keep you from sweating, sticking, and smelling. Trust me, she will love the manly scent of these products. It even comes with a pair of Manscaped boxer briefs to keep you feeling fresh all day long. Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. Their new Lawnmower 2.0 has proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to prevent nicks and snags, has a rechargeable battery, and it's waterproof so you can use it in the shower. Stop using the same trimmer down below that you use on your face. So what are you waiting for? Head over to manscaped.com now and get 20% off your order and free shipping by using the code BIGHEADS. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Promo code BIGHEADS.
All righty. Time to get this party started, as difficult as it's going to be, my goodness. I just want to say up front, there's been times, guys, in the last 5 to 10 years that the Redskins have beaten, like, the Super Bowl winner of the year that they've won. The Packers and the Seahawks come to mind. But this, I just want to say, this today is what the team truly is. Totally incapable of beating the league's bottom shelf talent. No matter how many flashes in the pan we have, this is what the team really is. Absolutely hopeless. How you guys doing after this one?
Well, I said this on Twitter. I think that this team could lose to the Valor. They could lose to the DC Destroyers or whatever XFL team is right now. This team is a clown show, and they could lose to minor league sports league teams.
I mean, I don't think that's ever going to happen, but I do think that this is...
I don't think they have the guts to face them.
Yeah. I mean, I think they would crush a team like that, honestly. But I think this today is the low point of the worst season I can remember.
And we'll say that next week, too.
I know. I mean, maybe so. I mean, there's never a bottom of this team, but this is far worse than the 94 team that went 3-13 to me. I can't remember a worse time, a worse day, in a worse season than today.
I agree. I kind of think it's hard to say there's been a team that's actually been worse than this. You guys have been alive longer than me, but that 94 team is a little bit different. Trust your word if y'all say that's terrible, but this one for me is probably up there for the worst, if not 2013. One of those is up there for me. So to answer your question, Sean, I think I'm doing all right. I'm kind of numb to it, as most fans are. So I think we can go ahead and get through this with no problems.
Yeah, I mean, tough to work up too much emotions about it.
You know, I want to go a little more recent and say the 2019, which was the second year with Zorn.
Oh, yeah.
You know, at least fans had anger then and emotion, and at this point, the fans have even given up. So,
you know what?
You know,
I feel like we can talk about that. To be honest with you, like we can get into Dwayne obviously, but I think that is a good point because if you think about it, for me, for example, in 2009. 10 years ago, let me think. I was like 16, 15, so still a teenager.
Right.
And like that, around that time, yes, Alex, you're 100% right. I still remember being pissed off. Like I had emotions, full-blown emotions towards this team. And, you know, that's carried for a long time. And it's still there at the bottom, like of the the feelings towards this team. Like it's still there to a small degree, but like
it's laying dormant,
it's
like
dormant.
a volcano.
And but now like it's so many people who have come to develop the feeling, the numb feeling that we all express a lot nowadays. It's been with people for some time now, but the majority is taking over. The people that go to the stadium just to chant sell the team, kudos to them. But eventually it's going to get to a point where you're going to go in the week one or your first home game of the year and you're going to have less than 50,000 people there.
That's what they had this year.
Yeah.
We might be there.
I mean, at least 09 they won a bunch of games in the first half of the season. So it wasn't.
No, that was
08.
09 was when we went 4 and 12.
Okay, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, no, but you're right. So the 09 was the 4 and 12. I don't remember being this despondent, about it back in that year. I mean, Zorn was a joke for sure, but this team, this is a really low point. I mean, again, I don't even remember being this irritated or this low about it, and I'm kind of numb to all emotions with this team by now. But I don't remember that 3-13 team seeming so inept in every way as this team is.
Mm.
Yeah, well said. Do you want to hit us with some stats before we get into the meat and potatoes of the game?
Okay, because we have to do this. Dwayne Haskins, Redskins offense. Dwayne Haskins was 19 for 35 for 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was sacked 6 times, quarterback rating of 79.9. And I'll get into this later, but most of those passing yards came in garbage time in the fourth quarter. Rushing as a team, they were 20 rushes for 54 yards, 2.7 yards per attempt. As a team, Adrian Peterson, 9 for 25. Darius Guy, 7 for 24. Neither was very successful in terms of statistically. In passing, Terry McLaurin, 3 for 69 with the long of 41.
What a beast.
Yeah, that was on a fabulous catch. Kelvin Harmon, 5 for 53. Darius Guice, 1 for 45. Jeremy Sprinkle, 2 for 16. Wendell Smallwood, 1 for 11. Trey Quinn, 2 for 9. Steven Sims, 2 for 6. Adrian Peterson, 2 for 5. And Hale Hintages, 1 for no yards.
What an ugly drop from that dude. My God.
Yeah, terrible. Okay, the Jets offense, Sam Darnold, 19 for 30, 293 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 121.3. Le'Veon
Good
rushing.
Lord, Steve. Mercy.
It's just stats, man. I got to read them. Le'Veon Bell was 18 for 59. Bilal Powell was 7 for 42. Ty Montgomery, 2 for 11. As a team, the Jets were 33 for 115. Receiving-wise, somebody named Ryan Griffin had 109 yards on 5 receptions. He's apparently an NFL player. Jamison Crowder, 5 for 76. Demaryius Thomas for 4 for 44. It goes down from there. I don't want to read all that.
Oh, sorry. You have more stats.
Just
Go
run
ahead.
through
Finish
the
your
defense real
stats.
fast. Jonathan Bostic was the leading tackler, 7 tackles. Landon Collins had 5. Cole Holcomb had 6. Sacks. Let's see.
Kerrigan had 2.
Kerrigan had the 2, and that was it. On the Jets' defensive side, there, like I said, 6 total sacks. Jamal Adams had 3 of them. And then the interception was Neville Hewitt for the Jets and then John Bostic for the Redskins. And because we always do this, Tress Way had 317 yards punting. So, yes, he did outpunt the entire Redskins team again.
All I want for Christmas is for Tress to be okay.
Yeah.
Physically and in his heart. You know what I mean?
When he got hurt there, I was really worried. Losing our best player.
Yeah, that's a scary moment.
We were about to have the Dustin Hopkins punting era there for a minute.
Oof.
Oh, my Lord in heaven. Can we just say for a second before we talk about the game, what is this ridiculous long shot of the dude scribbling notes on the game balls on the sideline for the Jets player? What is going on?
Had to show something.
Why are you... It's like... But it's a lost season for the Jets, too, essentially. Like, what, are you kidding? Like, this just, reeks of, I don't know
what you're saying.
It reminds me of, Drew...
Talk about. Even from our point up into the announcers. There's
amen.
to talk about.
It's just ridiculous. What is this? What are we doing? Okay, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this just a situation where the team sucks and all of those points came mostly in garbage time?
Yes.
Can we sum this one up like that? Okay, cool. And then I guess let's pack it
Well,
up.
not all the
over.
points.
Job,
3
guys.
points we got on before garbage time.
Okay, look, let's start with
point,
Dwayne
good
Haskins. Dwayne Haskins was not good today.
No.
Yeah, he had a bad day, but let me say this much. He looked to me like a lot of his bad came from inexperience. You know, he didn't step up in the pocket. He's running kind of he was the one seeing ghosts. He's taken off too early. You know, he caused the first sack down there in the red zone. He should have stepped up in the pocket instead of scrambling away. You know, so I think a lot of his bad was fixable, and it did show at the end of the year, at the end of the game, that you know he did have some confidence. Granted, it was garbage time, but once he kind of gets confident, becomes a little bit more comfortable out there, he can be better. So it's not all is not lost. He's a young guy, played bad, needs experience.
I mean, I don't want to say you're overlooking something, but his mechanics looked awful most of the game. And
I'm not saying he was good. Yeah. I said he was bad. I'm just saying a lot of that stuff is fixable.
Well, the mechanics stuff, I think, takes longer to fix with what I'm seeing. Jamal pointed this out on Twitter. Like, why is he jumping up in the air when he's throwing all these passes? Like, that's a huge red flag to me.
I mean, he's not.
It's the Tim Tebow jump shot.
He's not experienced enough to know what to do when he's seeing stuff he hasn't seen before. Greg Williams is a defensive coordinator through all sorts of blitz. How many times did Jamal Adams blitz? You know.
Yeah.
And so I think he just got completely shell shocked out there. Had a bad day.
You know? I don't know. Like, to me, anytime I see a quarterback and both feet are off the ground and he's throwing, like, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah, it really can get. Really bad in a sense, like later, because those two plays didn't hurt him necessarily, but I think he had did it. The two plays that I was specifically pointing at when he did the first two is the first one, you know, was a completion, and the second one he did it because the first one didn't really hurt him, and it was like a like he just did it off the top of his head. But I also think like not staying true to your mechanics and not staying true to your base and your throwing motion and things like that. I think it can get you in trouble down the line, no matter what defensive coordinator you're playing or what pressures that you're coming across against. And I think it's just dangerous to have those type of practices. But like I said, generally just not a good game. And then Alex, you kind of back what I was saying. It just doesn't make sense to me. And eventually you're going to have to get that under control as a quarterback. You can't just be that loose, no matter what your arm strength is or anything like that. You have to be more. Mm-hmm. You have to be more concise.
So let me just ask you guys then, because that's well said. I have nothing to add to that. Only a question to pose. It seems like, as Steve said, his biggest problem is inexperience. Do you fix that on the sideline or not? Are we hurting him by keeping him in this situation? Is he panicking? Is that going to hurt his? This is like the classic debate. I know. So it's the typical question.
You weren't going to win the game. You know, throwing Case Keenum out there was going to do nothing. You know, or
yeah,
Colt McCoy. I guess Colt McCoy was inactive, so it had been Keenum. I mean, nothing was gonna help. You might as well let him play it out.
But are we hurting Haskins by putting him into losable situations, considering the state of the team around him? Is this hurting him or not?
Every quarterback, you know, who's a franchise quarterback has had these moments at some point in time. Yeah. I think if people are giving up on him, they're giving up on him way too early. I mean, he had a bad day.
Oh, totally.
That having been said, he was under a ton of pressure, you know, all the time. How many bad snaps from Chase Fourier did we see? You know, the team just generally stinks around him. You know, Terry McLaurin and you know is the only and Kelvin Harmon, both those two guys. You know, the only two receivers worth a darn. So bad. He didn't play well, no doubt. I think a lot of it will get better in time. My thought.
What I'm really looking at right now is I'm kind of making a little mental Rolodex of here's the things I'm not seeing right now. What are we at 9? Week 10?
11.
10, I think.
Or week 11.
Week
okay.
11, game 10.
Yeah.
Game 10. All right. So in game 10, here's what I'm seeing. His arm mechanics, like his elbow looks like it doesn't exist when he throws the ball. It goes everywhere. His footwork is awful. And the pocket issues that Steve kind of identified there. If I'm still seeing that week 17, then we have to really have a different conversation because that means over the next few weeks, no one's working on that with him. And he's not improving in those areas. And that's what you need to see. He doesn't need to be perfect by week 17. We just need to see him, you know, trying to be better in those areas.
Yeah, and I will agree with that. I think you need to see some move in the right direction. That said, I would actually give him a bit more cushion considering We don't know who the coach is going to be. He's had 2 different coaches already, different philosophies on whether or not to use him. This is not a great incubator right now for quarterbacks, and I'll give him some leeway if the progress is slow right now. Now, next year, if he's still the quarterback and no progress is made, that's a much bigger indictment on him, in my opinion. But this year is just so difficult because I have a hard time indicting anyone for struggling in this environment right now.
I just think he was always going to struggle. You know, you guys aren't wrong. I agree with Jamal. And
Played one season.
I agree with Jamal and I agree with Alex. I mean, there's been times when his mechanics are off. Usually when the plays go south is when his mechanics are off. But he's a young kid. I mean, he's got potential. I think giving up on him is dumb. I think drafting a quarterback next year is dumb. You know, considering all the help they need, they need to let it play out. You know, they need a left tackle, at the top of the draft far more than they do another quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. What else? What else on offense, or anything else on Haskins before we move on from Haskins? I mean, we got other.
I mean, like I said, I guess the only positive I would take out of it with him is, in the garbage time he looked much better, right? Mm-hmm. That's when he got he got a little bit more comfortable. He made a couple plays, things got better, and yes, obviously it was garbage time. I mean, no doubt, but. I guess it was at least a step in the right direction. If you want a positive, that was it.
Yeah, and I was going to say, contextually is probably the best way to say it. Contextually, garbage time is what it is. Like, as a veteran quarterback, for example, when back to Kirk Cousins, because he was the one who played here for 4 years as a starter. When you seen him perform well in garbage time, you were criticizing the quarterback, which is, sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's like, well, he has a job to do. But when you look at it from a situation from a rookie, things become a little bit more easier for him, but it also allows him to get the end game, because a defensive coordinator is still not going to stop, doing what he does best. Right. But it also just allows him to play a little bit more freely, and he can perform a little bit better with less pressure on him. And it can allow him to gain some confidence moving forward to the next game. So, I kind of agree. Like, it's a step in it's positive. Also garbage time, but it does kind of help him out to a degree. And that's why I kind of felt like his last two drives were the best drives for him. I generally wasn't impressed. I'm not going to, make excuses for him or make too much excuses for him or anything like that, but just in a general sense, wasn't impressed. But his last 2 drives was the best drives for me. So that's really good for him.
Yeah, and let's say something about this garbage time too. That Geis touchdown, I mean, that's not really a garbage time play. If you think that's a short screen that, with good downfield blocking, it goes all the way. The 2-point conversion is a well-made play. So it's not all just sort of garbage time situations where you're inching your way up the field with just what's given underneath. I mean, that Geis touchdown was a nice 45-yard scramble or something like that, wasn't it? With good execution. So garbage time factored into this, but maybe not completely.
Well, I tell you, the other thing that you get out of it, he does have a legit connection with Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
totally.
He does obviously know Terry McLaurin well. He knows what McLaurin can go and do. So that's a positive. It's the first time we've seen Haskins and McLaurin connect, all year, really, for real. And, and don't forget the one that got taken away by stupid penalties in the first quarter was another one. And, and who knows? I mean, they wouldn't have won this game, but maybe it would have been competitive. If, the Redskins get that play, they score a touchdown, maybe it would have been a whole different game. I mean, you never know. So, but I think that's another positive you take out of it.
And that's what kind of makes the bad team. Just the fact that you just keep killing yourself no matter in many which ways. Whether it's holding, whether it's face mask, whatever it's hands to the face, illegal touching, I don't know anything. But you just know that in all shapes, forms, or fashion, like, it's just not really, it's not a good team. And you can't get out your own way even when you make the best plays. I felt bad for Haskins. That was a beautiful play. And it's not going to count, and nobody's really going to remember it because it didn't count. So,
yeah. About penalties, by the way, I really hate the helmet off on the field penalty. Can I just go off on a tangent about this real quick? I hate that penalty. It is, I think, the most inconsistently enforced penalty. I get it. Keep your helmet on the field so you don't get hit, some freak accident doesn't occur. I get it. But it's very unevenly enforced. I recall a couple years back, God, this might have even been Santana Moss in like 2012 or something. But he got flagged for it. Literally, like the next week, Des Bryant walks around for like a minute and a half with his helmet off the field. No one calls it. Hate this. This is why the other people scoff at football. This is because of stuff like that. Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
remember, the
Tangent,
penalty actually has nothing to do with safety. The penalty was started when that who was that tight end for the Saints who was a real dink? I don't remember his name, but he was the one who first took his helmet and threw it into the crowd or threw it off the field or something like that. That's when the helmet on the taking your helmet off penalty came into existence. It was because of a celebration. It wasn't because, Brandon Scherf couldn't hear the ref, so he took his helmet off to try and hear him. And then he got flagged for it, which is what it looked like happened today.
Well, it looked like he might have jawed a little bit with the ref, and the ref didn't like it, so he called some BS helmet off penalty. That's what it looked like to me, at least. But who knows?
What just my tangent would be? What on earth has happened to Brandon Scherf this year?
Oh yeah, he's falling apart.
Well,
I would definitely.
I don't know.
Not fall for that because of remember what happened last year with your boy, Ha Clinton Dix. Don't fall for it. I wouldn't be too sure. That's just poor play.
What do you mean? Well, I don't know what you're trying to say there. Are you saying he's doing it on purpose?
No. I just said don't be too sure that he's playing poorly, like just because he's severely digressed or regressed. Sorry.
Oh well, let me finish my thought. My thought is that because I think I'm about to agree with you. He's had a weirdly bad year. He's had a bunch of penalties. He's given up some sacks and stuff. I would definitely sign him to a big contract because the body of his work as a pro has been outstanding. He's having a down year. You let him walk, you're down a Pro Bowl guard, and he's going to play well for whoever else he's going to. I wouldn't let him walk no matter what. I'd still be happy to give him a big contract. But that's, I guess, a topic for another show. But
I mean, it's good to point out because he was the reason why. He was the reason why the play got called back in the first place, the Haskins bomb. So it's a good reason. Yeah. It's a good topic to bring up. I just don't. I don't know, man. I can't. I'm not necessarily excusing him. It's just weird because you're right. It's a down year, but I can't say I'm too sure after I didn't see. I know, and anybody who's seen how Clinton Dix play before he got to the Redskins, how good of a player he was. So it's just hard to really say that these people don't have that in the back of their head, that free agency is coming. They have better opportunities elsewhere.
I'll tell you the other thing about this game, as long as we're talking about the offensive line, good Lord, Jamal Adams. I mean, block this kid at some point in time.
So let me ask you all, just your opinion, and you two, well, not you two, but everybody. Because truth be told, I have no energy into even finding out myself, so I'll ask you all. And people who are listening, you can answer my question too with your opinion. Who do you all think is responsible for that, picking up the blitz and safety? Because, I mean, obviously he got through a couple times, and then the last one before the half, I think it was the last one, the one before the half, where he got Haskins on the backside. Who do you all think is responsible for picking up that blitz? In terms of the line versus the running back.
The first sack he got, he was one-on-one with Wendell Smallwood and annihilated Wendell Smallwood. And they switched him from side to side several times. But at some point, and he's blitzing from the outside edge, and so if there's a tight end out there, you got to think that the left or right tackle is got to have him. You cannot leave. At some point, you have to adjust your scheme because you can't leave Wendell Smallwood alone on this guy when he's getting 18 sacks a game. And so I guess my answer is adjust your scheme so that the left tackle either put another tight end in on both sides, go to 12 personnel, or adjust your scheme, one or the other.
Yeah, and I think it's a 12 personnel thing that you got to do there because from what I was seeing, he tended to just shift over to wherever the tight end wasn't and rush from that side. So, unless you're going to move your tight end, and you can't do that on offense, you can't just shift your tight end back and forth. So
I mean, because you can't do that, and Adams has the ability to move,
right?
He just flips. So it's at some point they needed to make an adjustment, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I can't really add anything to that. I think I'd have to go back and look at the plays to assign blame, but considering the rot on the team and the way it looks 90% of the time, I'm going to say this is a scheme and just full team failure rather than assigning blame to anybody. Let's talk about a little defense.
Okay.
Really, I mean, look at this Jets team coming in. We talked about it in a preview episode. Really not much to look at offensively, and yet here we are. My God, what happened?
Well, I mean, they embarrassed themselves in every phase. That's what happened. You know, if it weren't for the fact that Le'Veon Bell all of a sudden went from being the best running back in the NFL to stinking, it would have been a whole lot worse in the run game. You know, they did run for 115 yards. The secondary was absolutely atrocious, you know, all of them. And if you notice, by the way, at the end of the game, they had guys like Simeon Thomas and Jeremy Reeves and in the game, and Dunbar, Norman, and Moreau were all on the bench. For, you know, maybe that was just for
No, Moreau was out there. He was starting on the edge.
You're right.
Yeah.
But
it's for Moreau.
Norman and Dunbar were out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think there's any positive in any group that comes out of this, including the defensive line. Mm-hmm. You know, I think they all deserve Fs, if you ask me.
Well, here's what I'm picking up on more and more. We keep running these exotic zones, and we don't have a secondary who's smart enough to, run an exotic zone defense. The perfect example was that tight end touchdown where, they're like, oh, we're going to hand off, on the inside, and nobody picks up a tight end.
Okay, but Alex,
both guys go inside.
I played DB at a lower level. You hand off all the time. You switch like that all the time, and
these guys can't do it.
They're pros. They have to be able to do it. I mean, they can't. You're not wrong. They can't. But that is not an exotic anything. That is football 101. That's DB 101. Yeah. They just, for some reason, are terrible.
Yeah, I had my hand up to put a comment in, but that was exactly what I was going to say. Is essentially Alex hit the nail on the head in terms of my thought. I don't quite understand. It seems like something's going wrong with the pass off and communication. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like you can pinpoint the moment when you look at those deep pass touchdowns. It's like right when you're passing it off to the third level, it all falls apart. Seems like bread and butter stuff, like you said, Steve. I don't know. It's very disconcerting.
I just think it's funny. I was laughing. I want to say 20 when they got up 27-3, or 20-3. I can't remember. Either way, Rondé Barber said on the TV, this is a Hall of Fame cornerback, one of the best cornerbacks in the league when he played football. He said, I don't know what the hell the Redskins are running defensively. I don't even know whose responsibility is who for the tight end and who they're supposed to be checking. I mean, for whoever's supposed to be checking the tight end. Because they're running wide open. And for a person who's as quick to diagnose a play as those announcers and former football players and somebody to the level of Rondé Barber, if you can't understand what they're running, what zone coverage they're running, what man type of scheme they're running, if you can't diagnose it at that point, you just have to understand how bad the scheme is in itself. Because or even the players, if they don't know it, either way, it points to coaching. Because if they don't know what they're doing and it looks that bad, then it goes towards coaching itself. So it was kind of ridiculous trying to have Sam Darnold out there looking like Aaron Rodgers. It was amazing.
I mean, maybe Simeon Thomas needs to play. Maybe they just need to bench some of these. Start benching some of these guys. I mean, it's a lost season.
Well, sure.
I agree. There's no way these Alabama boys are that bad. There's just no way. I don't believe it. It's a coaching problem.
You are what the results tell you. You are, though.
At the end of the day, you're right. But there's also a phenomenon in football where people leave teams and they have successful careers elsewhere. And I guarantee you that would happen with most of these guys. They're just not being utilized correctly. And it's communication. It's
okay. Well, here's what I'll say.
It's the stuff between the lines.
Here's what I think about the coaching. I think a key that we along with everybody else in the football media said a key to this game was making Sam Darnold uncomfortable. That's not exactly insight to say he's been really, really bad, horrifically bad when he's under pressure. And what did we do for most of the game?
Rush
four, soft zone, rush four.
When do we ever not usually rush four?
That's my point.
Is that ever?
That is my
exactly.
point. That is terrible coaching. You know, the key
Yeah.
to the game, make Sam Darnold uncomfortable. What do? Nothing. You know, you finally blitzed a little bit toward the end of the game, and there was no point in not doing anything but laying down and dying. You know, the game was over. Now you're going to blitz. You had to do that in the beginning, up front, you know, and make your DBs play these zones correctly. Or if they don't, you know, bench Josh Norman for Simeon Thomas. You know, it wouldn't be the first time that happened. It's ridiculous how bad these defensive coaches have been. I've tried to defend them at times during the year because I do think the players need to own up to this. I think the defensive line loses entirely too many one-on-one battles, but these coaches are terrible. They don't put these players in a position to succeed. They don't take these players out when they're playing badly. They don't do anything. They have the most vanilla defensive scheme up front you will ever see in the NFL, and it never changes at all. They need to ride Greg Minuski out of town, you know, today.
Bingo. Yeah, yesterday.
I mean, I feel like that's true about the whole coaching staff. It's not just defense.
Absolutely.
You know, Bill Callahan's been a big mistake at this point. And, you know, if it not for garbage time, we would be looking at 17-plus quarters now.
I'm kind of disappointed, I got to be honest, you know, that the streak didn't continue. I was kind of looking forward to seeing how far it could go.
Sure.
Yeah, it should have. It should have. It continues in spirit, at least. Yeah, I don't know. I think you give Haskins benefit of the doubt this season. You keep McLaurin, you know, a handful of guys, and everything else of value can just get what you can out of it. Part ways with the entire coaching staff. It's not. We're not talking about just like jumping the gun here and blowing it up like Redskins fans are known for. This time it really makes sense, I think. I think it's a logical decision and not an overreaction.
One thing we haven't hit on in this game, and I'm going back to offense, Darius Geis brings a different kind of energy to this team.
Yeah.
You know, I like AP. You know, he
non-factor except for that play, Steve. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and he didn't have a good game. Don't misunderstand me. You know, except for the one play, the 45-yard screen pass. I mean, his numbers weren't very good.
That was it.
You know, 7 for 24. So I'm not saying he's a world beater, but I am saying that he brings a different kind of energy to the team than AP does, and he can stay in on third downs, even though they didn't always leave him in on third down, which is stupid.
Right.
But I think there's no reason at all why he shouldn't get 100% of these carries going forward. You know, they doesn't look like they will because Bill Callahan just isn't going to do that. But I liked at least what I saw out of the way Darius Geis ran, if not his results. You know, at least.
Yeah, I would at least consider flipping his and AP's role where, you know, Geis is your starter opening drive and AP is the one coming in for relief drives.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say about this is these drops. I mean, I counted 4. You could have maybe counted 5. McLaurin arguably had one too. But, I mean, we're talking like, again, football 101. The ball hits you dead in the hands.
Right.
And you let it bounce out, you know, and it bounces away from your hands. I mean, these aren't like questionable drops. They were pathetic drops. Really bad drops. It just looked terrible. I mean, you know, talk about not helping you have a young quarterback who's struggling. So what do? You let him get mercilessly blitzed, and then your receivers and your tight end drops everything. You know, that's not the way to help a guy. You know, that's not a way to help a guy get better, is when everybody drops everything, and you can't pick up a safety that's blitzed 20 times, you know, a game. You know. Terrible.
Yeah. Look, I'm just going to say, it doesn't matter what happens from here on out for the rest of the season. Who we beat, none of that
We're
matters.
not beating anybody.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably not beating anybody, but it doesn't matter because – and it also doesn't matter when you beat a really good team if you can't reliably win these games. This is what matters. This is a better test of a team than how you play against the best, is whether you can reliably beat people that are inferior to you, and we can't do that, proving we are truly the inferior team. So with that, do we want to do game balls? You guys have anything else you want to add? Offense, defense, whatever. Get it out there. Rants.
I mean, it's just a case of the coaches could help this team out a lot. The players have been bad. Basically all the players, not named Terry McLaurin, have been bad. But these coaches, the offense is no better. You know, Bill Callahan and Kevin O'Connell are no better than the defensive coaches. They are putting these players who need help in a position to fail and not who are in a position to succeed. And so it's an indictment. It is an indictment on the whole organization. And, yeah, Bruce Allen, you know, Dan Snyder, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to get better. We know that. But in terms of the on-the-field stuff, the players and the coaches have both failed. Now, you know, the Redskins have got the Lions, the Panthers, Packers, Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys coming up. I mean, I don't know what's a win on that schedule going
You can maybe dumb luck into one against the Giants, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you can maybe. Yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the NFC East. I guess. I mean, they could get lucky.
No. I know what's going to happen versus the Cowboys and the Eagles. Giants is the only one we could dumb luck our way into a win.
Possibly. I could see it.
But yeah, game balls.
Game balls.
Anybody want to volunteer?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely do want to volunteer. You know, I've been thinking about this.
Well, of course,
All right.
Steve's going to give it
Let's
to a
hear it.
couple Jets players. Right.
On offense, no. I think Terry McLaurin deserves a game ball on offense.
Okay.
He does.
Okay. I almost gave a game ball to Jamal Adams. I thought about it, but Terry McLaurin legit deserves a game ball. He made some highlight reel catches, showed he's a stud. Definitely deserves it. Nobody deserves a game ball on defense. Zero.
No.
So I'm giving Sam Darnold the Redskins game ball on defense because no player deserves to be honored on this team on defense. So it's Terry McLaurin and Sam Darnold, and I think Bill Callahan needs to march the deflated ball down to Sam Darnold and present it to him. So that's my
Well said. Okay. I'll jump in then. I think you're right about McLaurin. I think he deserves it on offense. I'm going to give it to Geis just to mix it up, keep it a little different. And I've already given several to McLaurin, so let's not let it go to his head. We want him to stay humble. Defensively, I guess you could say Kerrigan for the sacks. Don't feel good about that. So I don't know. I'm just going to hold my nose and do it.
Okay, I'm going to say, I mean, it's been really between those two, but I'm going to give Haskins, he got his first touchdown, so whoopee.
Nice.
He gets a half-flated game ball.
half-flated ball.
Yes.
It's a Tom Brady football.
It's a Tom Brady football.
Tom Brady game ball.
And on defense, who got the interception? Was it Bostic?
Bostic, yeah.
All right, he gets it on defense. And, again, very much not a fully inflated game ball.
Jamal, are you still in your protest mode?
Look, I'll do a sentimental game ball for Darius Geis. That's it. The guy, he had a long road. We all know what he's been going through here. Injuries on top
Just
of
getting
injuries
back on the field,
since he's came back, since he's been drafted. Sorry, injuries on top of injuries since he's been drafted here. But his first full game, I would say that he actually, he deserved that screen pass that he took to the house. Darius Geis, and I'm pretty sure I won't give any more game balls for the rest of the year. But yeah, that's him.
Fair enough. Defensible.
I've been
Defensible decision.
scanning my phone while everybody's talking to see if there are any interesting comments from Bill Callahan, and there are not.
Okay.
Of course.
So wait, does that mean Geis did get through a game healthy?
Holy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Say what?
Don't jinx it, Alex.
I
think
said
you're
Geis
just-
finally got through a game healthy. That's a
rough,
win.
Man. I mean, I am happy for him that he played, he looked excited, things to come. Like I said in the preview, I mean, this is a lost season, all that, we know that. But, I mean, you do have a core of guys who can play, skilled guys, hopefully. Darius Geis, Terry McLaurin, and Dwayne Haskins is going to get better. I mean, so, that's what to look forward to in the next year or two, hopefully.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm so mad because I was actually going to say something towards what Alex said, and I forgot. I'm so upset.
I'm sorry. It's my fault.
No, it's
The
fine.
team's not worth it, Jamal.
Yeah, you know what?
The team's
You
not
know
worth
what?
it.
We'll leave it at that because you're absolutely right. Doesn't care.
All right. Beautiful. Well, we have the Lions coming up next. That's the week of Thanksgiving. My goodness. So that'll be interesting. Other than that, keep checking back. BigHeadsMedia.com, TheHogSty.com for all the latest and greatest. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Take care.
The Seasons of Discontent is a podcast about Washington sports and life in the nation's capital. Hosted by Washington Post-Express columnist Rick Snyder and sports fan Matt, the 1 hour show also talks about beer, pizza, movies, and the sights of our nation's capital. Come listen to Seasons of Discontent.